Okay, so here's the video on how I made my timeline. The first thing you want to do is start with a horizon line that's only about a quarter, a third down the page. Most of this activity is sort of trying to get at the subterranean, below the surface level, the level of support and infrastructure and things that you might not have considered in your public output as an artist, and how that was affected by, other things underneath, which we're going to go through layer by layer. When I made this, I didn't know what I was doing, but I'm recording this to teach you how in case you're interested in making your own, because I received that feedback when I shared mine. So start with your date of birth. Depending on how old you are, you're going to put however many increments. I did about 5-year increments, and then I listed counting from 1987, ending at now, then 5 years from now, then 10 years from now. So there's a little bit of a future lead time. I think you could definitely also go back to parents' time. First, you're going to start with your public projects or your published works. You can stretch them out if they took, 2 months, 6 months, or if they're ongoing. I just made them sort of more stretched out to show that timeline-wise. And then I also have a couple that are stretched that way if they're way ongoing for projects that I did over multiple years. But above the horizon line, again, is for anything that you presented publicly. So this can be just things that you put out there, that you launched, or that you did out loud in public. This kind of reads like maybe like your professional CV, but now we trace back. We trace back to how long you think it actually took in lead time and development for that actual project. So then track back how long you think the making of that project really was. This goes into the below the horizon line, not the tip, but the body of the iceberg situation. Some of these projects may have taken your whole life long. I found that on my timeline. Your whole life long, Some just came one day, all of a sudden. But again, this is kind of for showing not just when those projects emerged in the world, but sort of how long they were incubated for. And again, when I was making this timeline, I didn't know what I was doing. This was an intuitive process. But at this point, I started thinking, and you may be thinking, of life events. So add these two. So add these life events. Here are some examples. Divorce, going to school, the birth of a sibling, death. It's important to include your body, so moves, surgery, sobriety, breakups. We'll have another line for relationships also. Spiritual milestones, coming out. There could be political moments that are happening in your lifetime, of course. Although maybe that should be in another color. Okay, anyways, then let's make a code for relationships, different people in your life. I sort of did this like through the life event thing. So here I have friend, spouse, parent, lover, therapist. I put in, your mentor, your mentee, etc. All kinds of relationships, your aunt, your cousin. So now, here at the bottom, think about the earliest thing you did and how long it lasted. I started out thinking about this as like what creative thing I did really young that still resembles what I'm doing now. So maybe it was dancing, or maybe it was telling stories. Maybe you've been telling stories since you were like 6 years old, and maybe the name of that thing that you do has changed. Like maybe now you call it writing, but the action is still related. Again, this took a lot of erasing. So some things drop off, then blip back. Here I put playing dress up. Here I put playing dress up as a kid. And then I put way out there in the future time a goal of costume design, because some things actually could show up as, I found some things showed up as goals, but I realized they had a long origin story, which made me, I guess, take them a little more seriously. Some things are kind of like a common habit of mind or action, even though their object has changed. So digging through parent stuff, which turns into library archives in college, can just really end up being about uncovering forgotten histories or some such thing like that. And again, the amount of time I'm erasing stuff in this video is like such a fraction of how long it actually took in the actual thing. But that was part of the pleasure of like reconnecting my memory, making new connections that I hadn't made before. So my suggestions is definitely use a pencil, take your time. If you're stuck on one strata, try to just move on to another one. Try not to look up dates online. Like really try to let this be an exercise in excavating your memory and see like which associations, like, oh, if you can't figure out when you made this project, maybe you'll remember based on who you were dating at the time, or maybe you'll know that you quit doing this long-standing habit when this life event happened. And I guess that might be what I experienced as the power of trying this out, was just those kinds of reconnections and relations. I guess I felt like it added a foundation to my practice. It made me less willing to sacrifice time on things, and it made me pay more attention to ongoing things, which kept coming back no matter how much I tried not to feed them. And it also sort of helped me figure out how to build a relevant infrastructure for my practice, which looks very, very different from, I think, some of the professional development tips that are usually given artists. So I'm really, I welcome feedback. I don't know if this is going to work for anybody else but me, but I found it really exciting and powerful. My email address is carriemarie.schneider@gmail.com, and I'd love to hear about how it was for you.